At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Matt.
Cleveland! Welcome into The Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Noah, with my co-hosts, John and Eric. You can join us at The Office too. Send us a comment on Facebook, YouTube, X, text or call the show. I'm going to point this way, not the wrong way, at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Also, don't forget, we are giving away a Donovan Mitchell jersey. Follow us at The Office. All you got to do is follow us on YouTube, X, Instagram. If you repost, we'll give you an extra entry. Here is all of that information now. And until you enter that, boys, how we doing?
Coming off a natty? I'm doing great, baby. I was just telling my wife, she was like, don't you think it's boring sometimes when the Buckeyes win by so much? I was like, I'm about to be 40 years old, and this is my fourth title as a Cleveland sports fan. Won a decade. I don't care if we win by 90, man. Congrats to the Bucks. I'm riding high. How you doing, Eric?
I feel the exact same way, honestly. I mean, like you said, we've got 3 natties in our lifetime, baby. Like, how could we be sad? This is the best week ever.
Gentlemen, real quick, do it with me now. OH.
I-O.
OH.
I-O.
OH.
I-O. I was waiting for John that time because he was a little delayed.
I know you guys were very out of sync, but that's totally fine. I'm
How
feeling
firm
fantastic.
thy friendship.
I feel fantastic as well. I'm so excited that the Buckeyes won. I'm so excited that we have a national championship and something to positively talk about on the show today. But first, we got to warm it up the way we always do with 30-second takes. 30-second takes today is going to center around the Patriots head coaching position, Mike Vrabel and Jerod Mayo, and everything that's going on with that. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about this situation? That's what we're going to be talking about on 30-second takes today. John, you started saying how you were feeling. So, Eric, you want to start with 30-second takes?
Sure, let's do it.
Go for it, man.
Listen, I think that the Patriots got their guy. I think Mike Vrabel is a very good coach, and he'll coach the Patriot way, which is, of course, famous and instilled by Belichick. That said, you can't help but feel for Jerod Mayo. I think he deserved that shot. To fire him after 1 year with the personnel he had is just simply ridiculous. So I hope he gets another shot somewhere else because I think he will be a very good head coach. But that said, if a guy comes on the market that you want, you got to take it.
I agree wholeheartedly. John, you ready to go, man?
Let's do it. Pop up the timer. I feel kind of similar to Eric. I don't think Mayo got a fair shot. I think for them to hire him and move him out, it's almost like they wanted Vrabel in the first place. They should have just hired him or kept Bill Belichick. Like, I don't know. I think they probably got a better coach in the end, but we'll never know from Mayo because he certainly didn't have the talent to do anything. I think of the Steelers who want to run a good coach out of town and say, look, you just had the Patriots guy 1 year. There's like a similar feel there, but it's all right. They got a good guy.
Yeah, I'll jump in here real quick. My thing is really echoing what John said. Patriots hired Mike McDaniels today. If they wanted Bill Belichick and to keep the Patriot way and everything they were doing, they should have just kept Bill Belichick. It kind of screams dysfunction to me, which is crazy to say after all of those championships that the Patriots won. But that's what kind of happens after a dynasty comes and goes is, they don't know really what to do because they had it so great for years upon years upon years. It's just really interesting to me front to back. What are your guys' other thoughts on this whole topic, the thought process? There's a race card that can be played in this as well that I think could be interesting to talk about. What do you guys think, man?
Well, set the race thing aside for just a second.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
It's important to note that the Patriots were very unique in that Bill Belichick was not only head coach, but he was GM making all of those decisions for the team. And when you fire a guy like that, and now you're going to have a GM, ownership was some of the best that you can get in the NFL, meaning that for the most part, Robert Kraft was pretty hands-off. He would interject here and there, like when Belichick wanted to get rid of Brady like far sooner than they actually did. But for the most part, Kraft rather let Belichick do his thing. Now that he has to make some more weighty decisions, it feels like you understand how lucky you were to have such a good coach quarterback combo, and they were in for quite a rude awakening, and here they are. They have to live with it.
Yeah, John, I want to know what your thoughts are. Yeah, go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, you're good. I think there's always an element of race when a black coach loses their job or a black person loses their job, or talk about who can play starting quarterback, because it's a thinking man's position and all these other things. There's always an element, right? In this particular case, I don't think it was anything to do with that. I think Jerod Mayo loses his job if he's black, white, purple, or yellow, because when you replace a legend, it's an awful task that nobody wants to do. If you do it on the field, sometimes it works. Hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to replace Brett Favre. Okay, if you're both really good, we'll just keep it rolling. But with coaches, I always say you don't want to replace the legend. You want to replace the guy who replaces the legend. If Jerod Mayo this year came out, took this team to a division championship in that division, won a playoff game, we might be having the same conversation, because Patriots fans are used to going to every Super Bowl and winning 2/3 of them. So I don't know. Like, I'm saying that a bit facetiously. I don't think if he won a playoff game, he'd get fired. But I just think it's one of those situations where it's like, we got a crap roster. We're starting over at the beginning. Somebody's got to be the face of it. And then once we get to a point where we think we're going to be better, we get rid of the guy who was the face of all the trash. I've seen it a million times before. We'll see it a million times again.
Is that 1 year though? I mean, what could he have possibly shown or not shown? It's such a quick.
Nothing. I'm not saying it's reasonable for the record either. I think it's batshit crazy. I just think if Jerod Mayo were Jerod Mayo and we're white, he'd be in the same position if he had the same record.
Jerod Mayo from Subway.
Jerod Mayo is crazy. I agree with you in everything that you said, John. The only thing that, makes me scratch my head is this time last year, when they hired him, roughly this time last year, they anointed him as the guy that was always going to be the heir apparent for the Patriots job, and he was going to be the guy to lead them in this next era, this, that, and the third. I agree. Mike Vrabel is a fantastic coaching hire. I was screaming for him to be a head coach in the NFL, whether that be for us if we fired Stefanski, Ryan Day being replaced by him if the run that we went on and we'll talk about here in a minute didn't happen. But to me, it's just weird that you put all your eggs in this guy's basket. You anoint him as the heir apparent. You always knew that was something that Kraft was on record saying. To then, after one season with a piss poor roster and potentially a franchise quarterback, Drake May, he looked like he could be the guy there. We're kicking him to the curb already. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's stupid.
It should be noted too, though, that there were some internal sources saying that, Jerod's a great guy, but he wasn't ready for the big time decisions. I think on paper it looks a little weird because you're replacing a kind of defensive styled coach with another defensive styled coach. But a lot of people had said kind of off the record that he wasn't really ready for it. He didn't have much experience going into that role. So when you look at it from that angle, yeah, I get the move. The problem is, why hire him in the first place? If I'm not mistaken, was Vrabel not available when they hired Mayo? I could be wrong on that. Maybe the overlap was there, but it just seems like they did it wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Listen, I think this topic's interesting. I do think Mike Vrabel is a great fit over there in New England, and we could talk about this a little bit more, but I think there's a topic the three of us are a lot more excited to talk about than the Patriots head coach, right? You guys are still all geared out. I decided to switch it up from the Buckeyes gear after 4 or 5 weeks of the show wearing Buckeyes gear. Gentlemen, Ohio State wins the 2024 National Championship. What are your reactions? Eric, you have been on record talking about how much an Ohio State championship would mean to you. You have been Ryan Day's biggest fan through thick and thin. So it's only right that we let John start it off first. John, how you feel about everything?
Well played.
Yeah, I didn't have faith as strong as Eric. I wavered on this many times over the last year. After Oregon, I was a Day supporter. After Michigan, I wasn't. I went back and forth. He did what he had to do. I'm really excited for the Buckeyes. I feel like they've been so close for so many years. The missed field goal against Georgia in recent past comes to mind. Some of those awfully officiated games against Clemson. I feel like that we're knocking on the door, but we always say it. You got 3 jobs at Ohio State, beat Michigan, win the Big Ten. With the expanded playoff, those first 2 became less important because you still had a chance to win the Natty, even if you don't do the first 2. I said before, Ryan Day has to win the whole damn thing, and Ryan Day went out, prepared the men, and they won the whole damn thing. So I am thrilled. Championships of any sort, when you're a sports fan in Cleveland, are hard to come by. I'm going to enjoy this one for a while, and shout out to the Bucks, man. They went out and earned it. And they really, honestly, they beat the snot out of Notre Dame and then let it get close on some silly stuff there late, but dominant performance throughout the entire playoffs. There's a half against Texas where I was like, "Ooh, this is getting interesting." And pretty much other than that, they handled their business. So congrats to Coach Day. Congrats to the Bucks. And like I said, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, just to give some layers here to make Eric wait just a little bit longer. Ohio State wins 30. I know you are. I'm trying to rally the horses. It's like kicking the bull in the cage before they go out with the bull rider or whatever. That's what we got going on right now. Just to give some background real quick, Ohio State beats Notre Dame 34-23. Will Howard completes 17 of 21 passes, 81% for 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He rushed 16 times for 57 yards. I think that was a key in terms of why we ran this game, was his awareness to get out of the pocket and run. He did win the MVP off of this performance for the national championship. Quinshawn Judkins, 11 carries, 100 yards, 9.1 carries a yard. That man is an animal. Cleveland, please. We'll get to that in a little bit here. 2 rushing touchdowns. Also had 2 caught passes for 21 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and the young GOAT himself, Jeremiah Smith, recorded 5 receptions, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown. Eric, the cage is open. Let's go.
Oh, man, I don't even know where to start. First of all, kind of what John said, none of these games were really close. Yeah, Texas made me a little nervous. The thing about championship teams, though, is when you need them, your star players step up. And we saw that in every single game. Tennessee, absolute blowout. Oregon, beat the brakes off of them. Little bit in Texas, but our captain, Jack, steps up and does his thing. I mean, game after game after game. What I didn't have on my bingo card, you mentioned the running from Howard. I didn't have Howard rushing for more yards than Leonard. I didn't have Leonard throwing for more yards than Howard. Like, it was a weird kind of flip-flop situation. But listen, this team was just built. It was built to win a natty. There's no other way of putting it. And I know we stumbled early on, but when you have 4 players, 4 that eclipse the 1,000-yard mark this year, talking non-quarterback, obviously, that's insane. I mean, insane. 2 backs and 2 receivers each had over 1,000 yards. Will Howard throwing for over 1,000 yards in the playoff. I'm so excited. A couple things I want to point out. I don't want to hear anything talked on Day's name for the next couple years.
That's a shot at Matt with the Monday show as well, because his final take was that he would still be okay with Day getting fired after them winning a national championship.
That is such an asinine take. I'm sorry, Matt, but let me read something for you real quick. Let me give you some facts. We like facts on this show most of the time.
Facts, no printer.
Oh, my God.
Our young one, yeah. Listen, Day is 8 years younger than Saban was when he won his first national title. He's
Facts, no printer.
2 years earlier in his coaching career than when Saban won his first national title.
Facts, no printer.
He's 70-10. That's insane. 5 top 5 wins this season. Yeah. It's time to put the respect on his name. There was a nice, sometimes we talk about, why do we care about football? Why do we care about sports? We've talked about that on the show before, and it's because sports represent that microcosm of life. The battle, you could get into all kinds of storylines, but there was a nice kind of balancing, if you will, in that Ryan Day, most people know he lost his father back in 1988. He was just 8 years old. He lost his father on January 20th, and the Buckeyes won the national championship, his first, on January 20th. And there's kind of a sweet sympathy there. I also want to give the credit where it's due on the other side of the ball. We know about our studs on offense, but defense and what the coaching over there has been able to do is just insane. First in total defense, third in passing defense. We slip a little bit, but only to fourth in rushing defense. First in scoring defense. First in red zone defense. I don't know that we did very well on third down defense, but that's okay. My point is that they had this defense up and running. Keep in mind, was it last year or the year before? They were 53rd in total defense. So what he's been able to do, come in, get this defense moved around. I know we're losing a lot of starters on both sides of the ball, but the thing is, the great teams, they don't rebuild, they reload. And that's exactly what I expect from us next year. Hats off to Notre Dame. Obviously, we love Marcus Freeman as Buckeye fans. I'm sure it was very bittersweet. I know he wanted to win, but I'm sure somewhere deep inside of him, he also was relishing the fact that his Buckeyes got title number 9. One last thing.
Go ahead.
Michigan has 10 titles. We're coming for you, baby. We're coming for wins all time, and we're coming for the titles, and we'll be there soon.
Question for you guys real quick. Obviously, we all watched the national championship very, very intently. That halftime interview with Marcus Freeman, it reminded me of the Sam Darnold, I'm seeing ghosts out here line of just stumbling through, repeating back what the reporter said, and that was basically his answer. Did you guys get the same sentiment out of that I did? Because that was something I thought of like right away that I wanted to talk about on this show. John, Eric, either one of you could take the floor on this.
He looked a little shook. Yeah, I understand where you came from. I mean, they were in a bad spot. They got manhandled on both sides of the ball, and he's a national championship for what, despite the fact that I'm no Notre Dame fan, what I would put is the number 2 or number 1B to R1A in terms of premier college football brands in the United States. Notre Dame's hungry for a championship, just like Buckeyes fan. They have the pedigree, and going back to the 1800s, look at how much we've won, just like we do. And I think he felt the weight of the moment, but he's also a young guy. Eric just threw out a bunch of stats about Ryan Day. I was talking to my wife with everything going on Monday. I was like, I'm 39. So is Marcus Freeman, basically. So is J.D. Vance, basically. I was like, I feel like I haven't accomplished that much watching these. He's got a long way to go. The book is not written. We got a cover and a table of contents on his college football career, but God willing, he'll be out there for another 40 years, and I think there's big things to come.
I agree.
It was a learning experience. Like you said, hats off to Notre Dame. They are a well-coached football team, and they didn't lose because they lacked a coach. They lost because they lacked the talent compared to Ohio State. And there's no shame in that.
Yeah,
Eric, what did you think?
Yeah, exactly what John said is right. I mean, yeah, he looked like he got punched in the mouth because he did. They have an incredible secondary. They tried everything. They tried man, they tried zone blitz, they tried man with cover over top. Nothing worked. It didn't matter. And the thing is, our third, Carnell Tate is our wide receiver number 3. He's probably up there as the best they've seen all season, or tied with the best they've seen. I mean, that's the level of talent and the disparity that John's talking about. I was a little worried after that first drive. I mean, they drove right down the field methodically. Granted, it was long, but we talked about the keys to winning for Notre Dame, and that was keep Ohio State offense off the field, eat up clock. They did that to a T, perfection. But then Ohio State threw 3 haymakers, and Marcus Freeman goes to the half woozy. I mean, you can't blame the guy at all. I think you're absolutely right. He's a fantastic coach. I don't like talking about his age only because I don't think it matters. Yes, he's so accomplished because of how young he is, but he's a damn good coach. I don't care what age he is. Penn State's still a fraud, and James Franklin sucks on that note.
I was waiting for it.
Here is what I foresee as the future, because you guys know I can tell the future. My 42-17 was almost coming to fruition there. Here's the future. Ryan Day has quite a tenure left at Ohio State. He's going to win at least 5 straight against Michigan, and he's going to win at least 7 more natties in his coaching career. And then the man is going to retire, and he's going to hand the reins over to one of 2 people, either Brian Hartline or Marcus Freeman. I'm going to say it's going to be Marcus by that point, which he might get 1 for Notre Dame before then, and Freeman's going to win another 5 for us.
This guy is going out of control, Eric. Welcome to Ohio State football.
For Yale.
Ryan Day.
We're coming for Yale.
Ryan Day won a national championship on Monday night, and on Wednesday, Eric's got him signed up for 5 wins against Michigan and 7 more national championships.
On top of the fact that he's going so far in the future with Marcus Freeman becoming the head coach that you 2 are both going to be in the nursing home, and I'm going to be visiting you, giving you guys your Polar Pops.
Well, I appreciate you bringing us some treats, buddy. Listen,
screw the pops, Noah. Bring bourbon if you're coming to visit me.
The bourbon will be in the Polar Pop. We'll mix it with some Diet Coke because you guys can't have real sugar anymore. Yeah, I'm sneaking it for you.
Hey, I want to say one more thing real quick, and that is that we talk about all the time how we are spoiled as Buckeye fans. That's what led to a lot of the hate of Ryan Day after losing to Michigan again. The fact that our fandom, like teachers, were talking to his kids about it, that's just ridiculous. But I want all of Buckeye fandom to step back for just a moment. In my lifetime, in each decade, we've won a national championship. If you're a Browns fan out there, you should understand how crazy that is. Because winning the national championship, I know we look at a team like Alabama and what Saban did. That should be the Buckeyes, right? That's the standard that we expect. That is such an impossibility that's what makes what Saban did at Alabama so incredible, because it just doesn't happen. The Buckeyes will remain on top. I have no fear of that. But we have won the first ever BCS national championship, the first ever college football playoff national championship, and the first ever expanded college football national championship. That is a special thing. I do think we should keep changing the format. I think maybe we move it back to 8 teams. Maybe we move it to 14 because we win every time we change it. So if we could do that like yearly, that would be cool. But don't sleep on this accomplishment is what I'm saying. Yeah, we got there in the end, but
you're never going to get less football. So if it goes from 14, they're going to have to go to something crazy like 16 or I'll tell you something else that I thought about as I was watching this. I was kicking back and Ohio State won. I was looking back at the bracket and some of the stuff they were covering. I think this marks the end of another era, not the Ryan Day era without a championship. Now that we got one, that's a big one, but SEC. I remember when Tress won his first national championship, we lost our minds. That's what started the bloodlust for winning at Ohio State. We were always good program. When Tressel beat Miami in 2002.
Tress, you said, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what started this whole national championship or bust kind of thing in my mind. Because with John Cooper before, we'd always have top 10 teams. We might have the top 1 team. Then we'd go to Michigan and lose every year, and then we'd get screwed. He couldn't win the big one. Tressel came in. He did the unthinkable as 14-point underdogs. But ever since then, there's this Miami, USC, and then it's just been Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn. And Clemson. I had a buddy who signed I got married in 2008. Oh yeah, Florida's in there too. I got married in 2008. One of my buddies signed Go Gators on the wedding sign because he's a Florida Gators fan. And we've been debating for 16 years now why the SEC isn't dominant, this and this. Well, long story short, I feel like the shoe's on the other foot and that the coin is flipped. I think with the expansion, I think with the brands and the teams we've added, I think with the money in NIL, We're going back to, on a year in and year out basis, Oregon, USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State are going to be able to go toe-to-toe, if not be hands down better than Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Ole Miss. Just look at the playoffs this year. Indiana's in, Penn State's in, Ohio State's. You got all these teams from the Big Ten. Penn State and Ohio State almost had a showdown. I mean, if Drew Allen hadn't thrown – that's not his name, is it?
Drew Aller. Good
Drew
job.
Aller threw a – if he hadn't thrown a ridiculous interception, might have been Penn State, Ohio State in the national championship. I just feel like a power shift with 2 straight national championships out of the Big Ten. It's too soon to call it, but going into next year, like that cloud hanging over our heads that is Saban and Alabama is gone, man. They lost 3 games, and one was to Oklahoma, one was to Vanderbilt. So I was celebrating the death of the SEC chance last night as much as I was the victory for Ohio State 2 nights ago. Excuse me.
I got a question for both of you. John, you mentioned it a little bit, a little while back, that Notre Dame, Ohio State, 2 of the biggest brand names in football, right? The viewer metrics for the national championship came out today. The Buckeyes title victory averaged 22.1 million viewers. Last year, Washington and Michigan averaged 25.05 million. Does that surprise you? Because it surprised the hell out of me. I thought it was going to be more viewed than last year's for sure.
Down 22%. Yes, it surprises me, but they're also 2 of the most hated programs in the country.
That's true.
They're very polarizing when it comes to Ohio State and Notre Dame, both of them.
They're polarizing. They also travel well and gather, right? Like there's Ohio State backers bar at almost every Browns backers bar in the country. And I remember going to a Browns game in Phoenix the night before we watched Ohio State. There were 20,000 members at a bar in Phoenix that was a Browns backers bar, and 1,500 of them were there watching the Ohio State game. That one TV that everybody was watching gets 1 rating. So there's that. Also, don't look at the one game, look at the body of work. Last year, there were 2 games and then a game. This year, it's been a month-long saga of games. If you add up all the people who watched playoff football this year for college versus all the ones that watched last year, you got way more viewership this year. It was just more diluted because there were so many more games to choose from. And you know what it's like, too. Tennessee fans are like, screw this. I'm not watching this shit anymore. As soon as they lost, they got pissed like we would a lot of times. Like I remember that LSU Alabama national championship where the final score was 3-6. I didn't watch a second of that game because I was pissed that Ohio State wasn't in it. So I think all of that kind of contributed. I wasn't surprised. For those reasons.
Let me ask you guys one last question about the national championship so we can end on a high note, a happy note. Obviously, we're all ecstatic and excited about the fact that the Buckeyes are the 2024 national champions.
Dash 2025.
Dash 2025 because
it's
Eric
confusing.
hates. Yeah, 100%. Favorite moment from the game. Got to pick one. There's not multiple. You can't go on a long-winded 16 different play answer. One play, one moment. Favorite moment. Eric, I'm going to let you go first this time, buddy.
The Natty itself?
Yeah.
It's got to be the pass to seal it to Jeremiah Smith.
Okay.
You QB sneak 2 plays in a row and you go, or I should say QB draw, not sneak. And you go, what is happening? What is this play calling? We're going to punt and turn the ball over. I don't like this at all. The balls, and Will Howard said it, the balls to call that and to get him, first of all, in single coverage. I don't know how that happened, but to get him in single coverage in a post route down the field, that was a thing of beauty. I was at your place, Noah. We were all just screaming our heads off. That's got to be the favorite for me.
For sure. John, what is your favorite moment?
Eric took my favorite. So instead of giving you the same thing over again and reinforcing what he already said, I'll tell you what I think is the most important. You're in a defensive battle. The Notre Dame comes out, goes all the way down the field on 100 plays. It takes an entire quarter, and you're down 7-0. If you come back and don't score a touchdown, you're facing the prospect of going down 10-0 or 14-0 in a national championship game, which changes the dynamic and the way you run your offense and all kinds of other things. I'll say the most important part of that game was Ohio State coming right back and scoring on their first possession, because even if you settle for a field goal there, I think it fundamentally changes the dynamic of the rest of the game, and it plays farther into Notre Dame's hands. Not saying they would have won, but I think coming back and scoring that 7 points after we got kind of hit in the mouth on the opening drive was a really big moment in that game.
I'm not going to lie. I thought when you started talking about defense that you were going to say Fielding's field goal, which, I mean, I did go nuts for that too. 44-yarder, no one expected, but
not from him, never. My favorite moment for sure is different than both of the moments you guys mentioned because of the moment that was going on at my apartment during the game. The third quarter starts. Eric, this is right before you make it in after all of your car troubles and everything you had. I'm sitting on the couch. It's me, my girlfriend, my roommate. My roommate, Deshaun, shout out Deshaun, says, second play of the first drive of the third quarter. You know what would be really great right now? A Judkins run through the heart of not the South, but South Bend. And I shit you not, Howard snaps the ball, turns and hands it to Judkins, and he breaks off that run for 70 yards or whatever it was to get us in the red zone, in first and goal to start out the third half. And we were just basically, screw you guys, here's another slap in the mouth. You thought you had a chance. That was my favorite moment of the game. That's
a good one, and I'll throw in a little note on that run. They talked a lot about Notre Dame secondary and how good they were before the game. Judkins got caught from behind in open field. I have never, as soon as he turned and broke past that free safety, I looked at Mary and I was like, 6, house. And then this guy just comes out like out of nowhere. And I was like,
a damn track meet.
I was like,
Judkins was breathing heavy, though. I think Henderson's faster than Judkins.
He is, for sure.
Probably. I just mean, when's the last time you saw an Ohio State running
back sure
get caught from behind? Like Ezekiel Elliott had Alabama guys chasing him and was pulling away.
Yeah,
Judkins got caught bad.
I love, too, that the next couple play calls were trying to get him to eat. So they ran him up the middle. He was stopped. They threw a pass play, I believe, that was incomplete, if I remember correctly. And then they fed him again, and he got the touchdown on that. So I like that they kept him in there.
Hat trick, man. Hat trick. Listen, gentlemen, let me get it one more time.
I-O.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy we are the national champions. We got to have a fun conversation instead of a depressing one about the Browns sucking or the Dolans needing to sell the team. I'm very, very happy with how this week is going, to say the very least. I'm going to take us to commercial. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about legacy. I'll just tease it with that for now, and I'll intro it when we get back. You're listening to At the Office. We'll be back after these commercial messages. And we are back at the office talking all things sports, hanging out, having a good time with my two buddies, John and Eric. Don't forget to drop a comment down below, whether you're watching on YouTube, X, Facebook. We'll get back to you after the fact because we love engaging with our viewers. Also, give us a call if you feel like it. Oh, my hand's off the screen. My bad. Give us a call if you feel like it. 216-260-3433. You can leave us a voicemail. We'll play it back on the show, talk about your take, and let you be a part of what we do here at the office. Lastly, check out our merch store. John, hold up that beautiful mug of yours so we can show our merchandise at theofficecle.com. That is ATTHEOFFICECLE.com to go buy some fantastic merch from us. Shout out Vance for Sports Network for everything they do in helping us promote, run, and do our show here. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about legacy, okay? And the question of the day, in true At the Office fashion, is a broad one. One that doesn't apply to our Cleveland and our Buckeyes and that kind of thing. Kind of the topics that we got into when we first started this show. Who's closer to whose legacy? LeBron James to Michael Jordan, or Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady? I open the floor to you guys. But I think I'm going to I'll let you guys start. I need a breather. I need a sip of water. John, what do you think, man?
To me, this one is easy. Sometimes when you get these qualitative questions where there's no who won the game on Sunday? Well, let's talk about it easily. There's a scoreboard, right? This is up to the eyes of the beholder. But in my mind, and for my money, LeBron James at some point around winning the bubble championship and seeing what he's done since then to play with his son, past Michael Jordan. And for my money, all time, everything on the table when considered, LeBron James has already passed Michael Jordan as being the best basketball player of all time.
I'm going to jump in here for a second because this is the same take I have too.
Okay.
My first note for the show is LeBron is closer to Jordan because he's already better than Jordan. And maybe this is the homer in me a little bit and the Cleveland in me, but I just think LeBron James' legacy, whether that be playing with his son, his longevity, because he sustained an elite level of play through 20 plus seasons. Who knows how long he'll go? We're talking about Jordan. Yeah, he has 6 titles. That's a team award, and he was a part of a franchise that kept a core together for a very long time. LeBron has bounced around the league, won it, done it in different ways. I mean, we could list all of the external achievements that isn't a championship. The only thing in my mind that Jordan has over LeBron at this point is sneakers that could flip in the next 20 years, and LeBron ones are the next cool thing, and rings. That only goes so far in my mind. Nike would agree with me. They gave LeBron $1 billion to stay. That's just me.
Yeah, and all of the stuff that they do, I'll give you the sneakers because in my mind, Jordan's more iconic, but that's the generational thing. I grew up when Jordan was playing and saw everybody wearing the Jordans.
But don't get me wrong, sneakerhead wise too. Me, I'd rather wear a pair of Jordans out than a pair of LeBrons. But we were talking about trends before the show. Who knows what we're going to be wearing 20 years from now? You guys probably some diabetic shoes or some ortho lights or whatever the hell. But me, I might be in LeBron ones. Who knows?
A diabetic shoe. Oh, that's great.
The ones with the Velcro.
Yeah,
a couple pair of New Balance with the Velcro strap. No, the thing that I would say on the other side, I do want to put some respect on Patrick Mahomes' name. He's just not there with Brady yet. This is a Brady-esque run. He's doing Brady-esque things. We've taken him so for granted that the man came out and led his team to a record that was 15-2, and everybody's talking about how the Chiefs are dead and how the Bills and the Ravens are better, and Lamar's clearly the MVP. We're taking this guy for granted, like we took Tom Brady, and he's winning at an unprecedented rate. So I do think that especially if they win this year or 1 or 2 more in the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to have to start having that conversation too. But Patrick Mahomes is still working at chipping away to be in the conversation with Brady. LeBron James has chipped it away, and he's clearly in the conversation. The only question is whether or not you put him above Michael or behind him. But even if I said, hey, LeBron has a little bit to go, he'd be so much closer to Jordan than Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes still just has work to do.
Eric, I want to know your thoughts because is it different than ours? I mean, you're a Cleveland guy through and through, so I'm curious what you're feeling.
I really went back and forth on this, to be honest with you. First of all, when we talk legacy, I think LeBron was or is a better player than Jordan was. But what LeBron never had that Jordan and Kobe had was that Mamba mentality. That helped seal 6 rings for Jordan, which LeBron cannot touch. That is one of the biggest differentiators, in my opinion, of the two of them. And I think overall, like I said, I think LeBron's the better player, and he'll go down as being the greatest player of all time. But legacy, Jordan's still the GOAT in the eyes of many, and it's for a reason. He has the rings. When it comes to Mahomes and Brady, I know everybody's sick of Patrick Mahomes. I actually don't hate him like a lot of people hate him. I don't understand the hate he gets. He's never really put a foot wrong. I think he's not a super arrogant guy that's talking trash constantly. He doesn't get into trouble. He kind of just lives his life and wins Super Bowls. that's enough to make you hate somebody. People hated Brady as well. Mahomes has only been in the league now, what? This is his 8th year, I believe.
I
and
think so.
his
8th or
7th
9th.
starting.
Something
So
like
in that time, he already has 3 Super Bowl wins. He could get a 4th. Half of his time playing in the league, he's won a Super Bowl. That's insane. The rate, like you said, that he's going is just he's gonna
Yeah.
blow Brady out. I know we said
Yep.
right now,
Mm-hmm.
but barring something catastrophic injury wise or the team really blowing up, I think Mahomes far outstrips Brady based on where he's at right now.
That was my question about this whole thing too. I think Mahomes is close to Brady. I think you could make an argument if he three-peats this year, or arguably just because no one's ever done that. That's a huge accomplishment that Brady hasn't even crossed. Brady's longevity is a huge part of his key there, and he played the traditional pocket passer style of quarterback. Mahomes rolls out, he moves around, more susceptible to injury. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying he's going to get hurt or something crazy is going to happen, but longevity wise, Brady played into his 40s. Do we see Mahomes doing that? I don't personally know. I don't know what his crazy routines are. I think if you could see a guy like LeBron play at the level LeBron is, you could arguably see the same thing for Patrick Mahomes in his time. I think we are witnessing the next Brady sooner than we all expected. But yeah, I agree with you. He hasn't passed it yet, but we are well on the fast track and watching greatness. And at some point, everybody who's going to be is a hater is going to be appreciative of the fact that they got to watch Patrick Mahomes play football, regardless of the jokes of the refs being on the Chiefs' side and that kind of thing.
I mean, they are for sure, but 29 years old with 3 rings and possibly winning 3 in a row. And to circle back and make our show, come full circle, he's also a black quarterback doing this. And it's got to be noted because that is extremely rare. And it's not because they can't play the position or, the bullshit that John was talking about. And when I say bullshit that, people put on black quarterbacks unfairly and unjustifiably, but what he's building an incredible legacy for himself, whether he reaches Brady heights or not. One other point about Jordan and LeBron, they considered changing the NBA logo to Jordan, to the Jumpman. I mean, that's the kind of legacy we're talking about. I've never heard of the conversation changing it to LeBron. I think he's done more for the sport.
He's still in the league, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I get it, and I do think he's done more for the league just because of the time he was in it. Based on social media, the internet, it's bigger now, and so the presence is bigger. But John, I mean, you remember there was nothing like the superstardom that was Jordan and the Bulls. I mean, nothing even comes close to that today, in my opinion. He still outstrips LeBron, whether or not LeBron's the better player, because I do think that he is in more ways in the game. LeBron's unmatched when it comes to court knowledge, what he does off. If you're a real basketball fan, you know that what he does off the ball is some of the most impressive stuff that you'll see on a court. It's stuff that doesn't necessarily go into the statistics page, but he's a field general out there that's really directing wins. You can't say enough about that. But we're talking about legacy, and he's not there.
If you're talking about legacy, I got to be fair, because I'm always like, well, you answered this question, but the question really is X. And I was thinking, who's a better player? I would not say hands down that LeBron's legacy is past Jordan's yet. So I would have to come back and agree with you. But to answer the question, it doesn't change. LeBron is closer to Jordan than Mahomes is to Brady in terms of legacy. If you extrapolate Mahomes' career over the same number of years as Brady, the conversation will be different in 8 years, but we're not 8 years forward. So for now, that's the answer. I will say this, though, about LeBron that people take for granted and forget. Most of the things that have to do with LeBron's legacy go unheralded, unseen, or unappreciated. LeBron James was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 17 years old.
17, yeah.
And Michael Jordan was like coming off the bench for North Carolina. LeBron James was averaging 25, 8, and 6 when Michael Jordan would have been a junior. He came in with the biggest fanfare ever for somebody coming into the NBA and lived up to every iota of the hype without question.
Any sport.
He went
I've
to
never
8
heard of anyone
straight.
in any sport.
Correct.
They've tried
He
to
went to
replicate
8
it. They've
straight.
never replicated it.
No, he went to 8 straight NBA finals when LeBron took 2 years off to play baseball.
You mean Jordan? You just
Or
said
when,
LeBron.
yeah, sorry, when Jordan took 2 years off to play baseball. And the other thing that I will say to you is that Jordan was a cigar smoking, hard partying, womanizing, is what he is. Insert your favorite adjectives here. It's fine, whatever. That doesn't make him an evil person. But if Michael Jordan had to play his entire career out in the age of social media, his legacy would be far different. And LeBron had to do all of that in social media, and has never so much as gotten, a jaywalking ticket. In how many years in the NBA? 20.
He did show his penis on air once.
I don't think that was his fault. Eric digresses. Maybe that's part of the legacy, Eric. I don't know.
That's crazy. Right, that part.
I just think that, yes, you're right. When you think about, if I saw LeBron walking through an airport, I'd be like, I might be able to get a fist bump in. And if I saw Jordan walk through the airport, I'd be like, that's Michael freaking Jordan. Like, I get what you're saying.
But him being an anomaly
because
he's weird. I don't want to say weird, but because he's not in the public eye like that anymore. He doesn't do that kind of thing. I don't think that's legacy. I think that's just him as a person. LeBron is an approachable person, I feel like. Jordan would not be.
Strip away basketball for a second, though, because we're talking about legacy. After the two of them are both dead, I think Jordan shoes are going to continue to sell. I mean, that in and of itself, the Jordan brand is such a behemoth, which is part of his legacy that he leaves behind. I don't know.
No,
wait until Nike starts pumping the marketing dollars into the Jordan brand or the LeBron brand like that, though. Not saying they don't now, but they have launched the Jordan brand to another era. That's the goal with LeBron's brand as well. We just aren't there yet because all LeBron does is play basketball right now.
No. We're not there because they don't get bought like Jordan's did. You have to understand the cultural phenomenon that were Jordan shoes while Jordan was still playing. It has nothing to do with the fact that LeBron's still playing and he's not hawking shoes enough. No, now, Jordan's changed the game. It saved Nike, arguably, and put them in a stratosphere where they were nowhere near. So to say that LeBron will get there, no, I don't think they've seen anywhere near the success, and so they're not pumping the money in, and I don't foresee them doing so, period.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a second. As, again, the residential sneakerhead, there was a point in time, you're talking 2008 to 2013-ish, 5-year run, where Nike basketball was as big, if not bigger, than Jordan. People were seen wearing LeBrons with jeans and KDs with the elites and the baggy cargo shorts and that kind of thing. Like, there is a market, there is a trend where this will come back around, and LeBron 10s and LeBron 9s and LeBron 8s, 1s, 2s, whatever, are going to be very popular. Discrediting the LeBron brand is not fair to LeBron.
I didn't discredit the brand. I said it's nowhere near the Jordan brand. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But I would venture to guess, too. I need you to do a little Googling because I would venture to guess that in those years you just named, that Jordan still sold more under the Jordan branding than Nike basketball sold under the Nike basketball branding.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing, Noah. It's when Noah, I actually see both sides of this point. I think I side with Eric because Noah, yes, we're not discounting the brand. We're just saying the distance between number one and number two is very far. Like, LeBron has a massive brand. He's a billionaire. He's all the things. No shade. You're saying, hey, look, Nike basketball was bigger. That had Kyrie and Durant and LeBron than Jordan, who hasn't played meaningful basketball in 20 years.
Yeah, when did he exit the league?
That's like all of the stars right now with Nike who are actively playing basketball barely outsold just Michael Jordan, who hasn't played in the NBA since 2020 or 2001 or whatever it was.
I agree with you on that point too, but I think LeBron James, the brand, also makes up for a lot of. We're talking about just shoes right here, and obviously, I will sit here and talk about shoes all day with you two on a podcast if you want to. We could have a whole shoe episode if you want. But LeBron James, the brand, if you're talking about legacy on, off, in between the court, is so much bigger than what Jordan has done with his fame and all of that. Yeah, Space Jam is a thing, but you're talking about all the movies that LeBron's a part of, all the extra ventures LeBron's a part of. If you're talking full-blown legacy and we're getting into the business side of it, that's a part of it too then. And LeBron's legacy and brand outside of just shoes and basketball would then eclipse Jordan in my mind already.
Just because you do more things doesn't mean it's more successful. I mean, the Jordan brand in 2022 had a revenue of 5.1 billion. I mean, LeBron's just nowhere close to that. That's facts. I don't know. I think that's indisputable, honestly.
I agree with you on a level. I'm not trying to discredit Jordan's legacy at all because it's a big part of basketball history. But when it's all said and done and you're looking at it and they're both in the grave or we're hanging up in the great beyond with them later on playing pickup basketball, whatever you wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think LeBron's legacy is going to eclipse Jordan's, and it's not going to be particularly close, whether it be the player on the court, whether it be the player off the court, and all of it in between. That's just me.
The funny thing is that so much of this has to do with, when we talk shoes in particular, has to do with Nike and where they're at as a brand and as a company, and Nike's not doing well. So unfortunately for LeBron, the dollars that go behind it just aren't going to be there. I say unfortunately, I mean, the man's made his money, he's made his mark. I don't think it really matters. But Nike is, as of now, I'm not saying they won't turn it around, but they are a dying brand.
I also want to say one more thing to Noah's point that I think was correct, because the question is today, who's closer to the legacy? It's still debatable based on all the things. I think we all agree LeBron's probably the better basketball player at this point, but the legacy comes down to business and impact in the community and just everything, like when you think about the names. But the problem that we always face is these stars rise and fall on different timelines. My grandfather told me stories all the time about Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, players from that generation, Wilt Chamberlain, guys, and then coming to even Magic Johnson and some of those guys, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, with my father. There was a point in time where nobody could remember anything better than Magic Johnson. He had the Converse deal, and it was great. And then Michael Jordan came, and so part of it isn't just the legacy. Part of it is the people who were there to watch these players play get fewer and far between as the younger generation that grew up with the new thing comes into adulthood. The reason Jordan's at the pinnacle now of legacy is because we, people my age, grew up watching Jordan, and now we're buying shoes, even though they're in their 40s and even 50s in some cases. But in 40 years, when Noah is, 30 years, when Noah's whatever age, he's going to be talking about the stories to his kids about LeBron because he never saw Michael Jordan play. So at some point, Michael Jordan's arch is going to start coming down as LeBron's is still rising, because LeBron's going to be the 50-year-old emeritus guy who's still around, and Jordan's going to be 100.
So though,
yeah,
you're talking about zeitgeist,
I could play devil's advocate on this for a second too, Eric. I'll be really quick. I'm sorry, but talking just sneakers and stuff like that, as a guy who's advocating for LeBron right now, I like Jordan's shoes way more than I like LeBron's. I have more Jordans than LeBron's, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon in terms of people and fashion and sneakers. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, it's Jordan has become a lifestyle brand. LeBron still very much has a basketball brand. And I think that's the biggest difference, in my opinion, is that those two spheres haven't met yet. Could LeBron take off into that? Because you're talking, what you were saying, John, is that cultural zeitgeist that, we're a product of our decades in which we're born. But what the brand has been able to do has been to eclipse that and overtake that and stay relevant years and years. We talked about decades after he's even retired. LeBron just hasn't done that yet. Could he? sure. We just don't know.
No, I agree. And the one thing I would say, though, I'm not saying yes to everything you said is what I'm saying, except we're focused on brand. At some point, we switched from talking about basketball to saying legacy is just brand. I'm talking about the whole package. When Michael Jordan is in his 60s and 70s, and LeBron has retired and is still in his working prime, and he's 40 to 50 and can spend 20 years growing LeBron like Jordan did, and Jordan is fading into the sunset, there's the opportunity for LeBron to keep growing. Like, this book isn't going to be written. And I'm not just talking about shoes. I'm not just talking about a lifestyle brand. I'm talking about everything. LeBron has a school in Akron, right? Like, legacy is a big thing.
Yeah, and I guess you got to define legacy, which we didn't do. For me, legacy is looking back on your life after you've passed. What did you leave behind? And when we're talking about these two, what culturally, what is the conversation that surrounds you? And just as of now, I think it's bigger for Jordan. That definitely could change.
Yeah,
100%. I think we're all looking at it from different points of, like, I'm taking it as I think LeBron's passed it because XYZ, and he's going to continue to pass it because of XYZ. You're looking at it as solely the right now, Eric, and that's not 100% my opinion, but I get why it's your opinion. And John, you're kind of floating in between all of it, trying to figure out what your definition is, maybe.
And they have all kinds of stuff too that we didn't hit on for, like, LeBron. And I don't want to drum this up. I know you're trying to get us to hot takes and out, so I'll keep it brief. But Michael Jordan dodged politics his entire life, and LeBron hits it head on. 30 years from now, that could have a big impact that we don't realize in the moment. So I just wanted to say, I'm thinking of things outside of basketball and brand. Those are big pieces of it.
Okay, but if you're going to say that one side of it, John, you got to say the other side, which is he backed right down to China. So sure, he enters the fray in politics, but
I didn't say he was
picks
perfect.
and chooses.
I just said he doesn't dodge it all. Jordan had.
To lighten the mood and kind of segue us, I have a question for John. Do you know how, like, when a team loses the Super Bowl, or Notre Dame, for example, they ship all that championship gear that's pre-made off to, like, Honduras or whatever, so the poor kids can have, they think Notre Dame won the national championship. Did you ship your Tennessee gear over somewhere? Or I'm just wondering what you did with it.
John, sing Rocky Top, man.
I'm not doing it.
He knows the words. That's what's crazy.
Can confirm at the bar on Saturday this past weekend, John sang us Rocky Top in front of his wife. Just saying. Just putting that out there.
Wild.
Real quick, to wrap up this segment, put a nice little bow on it. Give me your answer for both. We're talking LeBron. We're talking Jordan. Put that in one box. We're talking Mahomes. We're talking Brady. I know we went basically down the LeBron Jordan path, but give me your answer for both segments. For me, I think LeBron passes Jordan's legacy already. I think he is the GOAT in terms of basketball, and I think his star is only going to rise. I think Mahomes is already grabbing on to Tom Brady's taped Under Armour football turf shoes because he never wore cleats, but he's not there yet. John, what do you think?
Yeah, something similar. Better player is LeBron, but legacy is a lot closer. I don't want to call it a tie. To answer the question
right now, though.
Yeah, right now, I think.
And then Noah started talking about the future, but right now.
Yeah, right now, today, I think Jordan's total legacy is still bigger than LeBron's, but LeBron's still playing. I definitely think Patrick Mahomes has work to do to be in the same conversation as Brady. He is a phenomenal talent, and the world is his oyster right now, and I think he'll win 5 more. But today, no, Brady's still the GOAT. Mahomes has work to do. But Mahomes can get there.
They do, Gavin. It's well known that losing teams of all major sports, all that gear is pre-made so they can wear it on the field and so that they can ship it out immediately. We're talking a lot of stuff is made, and they ship it all to third world countries. So there's a kid running around somewhere today with a Notre Dame shirt winning the national championship.
I had a guy I used to work with who opened a school and nonprofit in Costa Rica, and he sent me a picture of a kid in a Cleveland Indians 1997 World Champions t-shirt, and I was like, oh, it still hurts.
The funny
Eric.
thing is, I feel like there's a business opportunity here because I bet people here would buy that gear. It's kind of a novelty item. If we could get
you
our
see it
hands on
online
it,
sometimes for like $300-$400 with the tag still on it.
Yeah.
Eric,
Exactly.
put your bow on it. Tell me your answer for.
They're not
Mahomes
allowed.
Brady.
That's the answer for you.
Well, I know, but
oh yeah, the brand.
I'm saying if we could just find it in Honduras and bring it back. But my bow is, you said legacy and you said right now. So I'm going to take you at your word and not do what you did. I will say right now it's Jordan. Right now it's Brady.
Okay, fair enough. Gentlemen, we could talk ad nauseum about T-shirts and clothes and shoes and Brady, Mahomes, Jordan, LeBron, whatever. But it's time to send this show on the road and go to random thoughts and hot takes.
Oh,
John?
he's getting his stupid chain. No.
No. I'm going to pull him off the show if he comes down. We're going to take this
If you
screen
bring
off.
a chain, I have a new segment.
What's the new segment?
Oh, you'll hear if he brings his chain.
Eric, what's your final thought or hot take?
Do you have it?
What do you got, man?
Stop worrying about me and do your take. You don't need to know what I got all the
Is it
time.
his Tennessee jersey? All right, I have a hot take that's centered around just a couple interesting stats. The first is dealing with the 49ers, the football team. The 49ers either make the conference championship every year or they miss the playoffs. And there's no in between. This is so crazy. From 2003 to 2010, missed the playoffs. 2011, 12, and 13 made the conference championship game. 14 through 18 missed the playoffs. 19, conference championship game. 20, missed playoffs. 21 through 23, conference championship game. 24, missed the playoffs. That's kind of insane. It's a la Bills to the Super Bowl, but never winning. But my favorite stat that I've heard more recently, John mentioned the Miami Hurricanes of 2001, 2002. We took their crown, and it was shocking. It shocked the college football world. The reason it shocked the college football world, you got to understand how dominant that team was. That 2001 Miami Hurricane championship team, they won the championship. They went undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. Had they not scored a single point on offense, they still would have went 8-4 on the season.
Insane.
Mind blown.
Absolutely insane. John.
Wild. Wild. That's a good one, E. I like that.
He told me this one earlier at the office, and I was like, that's insane. You might
I
have
can't get that out of my head.
It's crazy. John, what is your final thought, hot take? What do you have on your lap right now that we're
Why is he
all afraid to
smirking?
see? Yeah, go ahead.
Because you guys are so far off base, per the usual, that you have no idea. My hot take today is, I don't know if you guys saw the news, but Baseball Writers of America voted for the Hall of Fame. One of my personal favorites of all time, Karsten Charles Sabathia, number 52 for your Cleveland Indians, was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And you saw he got pretty emotional with his family when he received the news. I want to say congratulations to him. He's an inspiration, not just as a poster child for being what?
I'm laughing at Noah, and I don't know what he's cracking up at. I'm guessing somebody said something about Sabathia.
No, I can't wait for my hot take now.
This guy was I don't know what these two assholes are on, but I'm gonna keep going. He's an inspiration to black players in America. He's an inspiration to lefties. He's an inspiration to people who are overweight trying to lose weight. He's an inspiration to alcoholics as a reformed alcoholic. He's a Hall of Famer for life. He's a Hall of Fame baseball player and is one of my favorites all time. Wanted to shout out my man, CC. Only thing that pissed me off is he went in as a Yankee, but we all know that's Eric's favorite team. So he's probably happy about that.
Catching strays.
All right,
it's not a stray. It's not a stray. You called me out for Tennessee. I can call you out for being a Yankee.
That's fair. Can I just say I loved everything you just said. Inspiration for black men. Didn't know lefties needed inspiring, but sure. And then for alcoholics, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I get what you mean, but what?
So
Yeah,
John,
like people who struggle with alcohol
John,
have to get their lives
John.
back on track. And he did it. Like, if you can say, hey, if
Right.
Cece could do it, so could I if you're struggling with alcohol. And with that,
Hold on. Oh, no.
No one wants to see your stupid chain.
Do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
It's third down. And we're stopping John with this shit. We're going to have a goal line stand because you don't get best take chain anytime you want. It's over. We're done.
Gentlemen,
my neck says otherwise.
Gentlemen, John, you just made my hot take so spicy. And I'm glad he's
John
out
disappeared.
Of here. Get him back in here. Because I have a problem with CC Sabathia. And this is legit my hot take. So this is what he said today. Shout out Cameron Justice. CC Sabathia said, well, he loves and appreciates Cleveland for drafting him and the experience he had there to help shape him. It wasn't a hard decision. He'll go in the Hall of Fame as a Yankee. Said that New York is home and they wanted me. There has been multiple times I have seen CC in the media drag his time in Cleveland for the glory of the Yankees, and understanding the rivalry that is there, the hatred that we have as a fan base for the Yankees. He can have the Yankees, but he ain't coming in our Ring of Honor. I don't want no CC bobblehead night. I don't want none of it. He can go be a Yankee. Enjoy being a Yankee. He can be an inspiration. I agree with everything you said. But he can go do it in them lazy ass pinstripes with no name and a shitty ass shaved face. And that's my final thought and hot take.
It's a good hot take. I think you need to, as the petulant child on the podcast, get off of social media. You ran Baker Mayfield out of town over a tweet. Now you're throwing shame on CC, but it's fair.
It's multiple times, John. He's done it multiple times. This is not the first time he's just like, yeah, Cleveland's cool, but I love the Yankees. Okay, cool. Go be a Yankee. We don't want you here.
He does drag us. I will say that from now on, I'll tip my cap like CC to show the respect. But from now on, I call him CC Sabathia because I agree with what Noah said.
Gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure and honor to do this show with you guys as we do Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Anything else you want to say to the people before we wrap this thing up?
Go Cavs. We'll see you in a week.
I will find a way to ensure that this takeover chain is gone soon. I have ideas. I know John's wife now. I know his kids' names. We could find a way to get rid of this thing. We'll be scheming, though.
Thank you for joining us at the office. Don't forget to subscribe or hit the download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of the podcast. Check us out on all socials. You can see it right here, @TheOfficeCLE. That's @TheOfficeCLE. Have a great day or night, whenever you're watching, really. And until next time, Cleveland, stay up. Peace.